In this video, I'll show you how to check the specification of your system, whether you're using a laptop or you're using a desktop. If you're a Mac user, I'm sorry, this video may not be for you. Now, it is very important that when you're trying to get a system, you check for the processor, the RAM, the GPU, the storage, and every other specification that you requested for. So there are various ways you can check this, but I'll just show you one or two ways by which you can check. Now, it doesn't apply to beginners alone. It doesn't matter if you know little or nothing about computer as a whole, but at least this will help you to check by yourself, because some of the sellers don't really know about what they sell at times. So it is your responsibility as the buyer to check yourself. Now, to check your processor, the first thing you do is go to your keyboard, either a laptop or a desktop, press the Windows button, then type system. Now, you select the system, the best match, click on it. Now this is going to show you this window. Now on this window you have various informations, but the most important one you should concern yourself about is the processor, because you're trying to check for the kind of processor you're having. So on the processor option here, you see I'm having Intel Xeon CPU. Now this is a server CPU. It's different from the Intel Core family of processors. Another thing to check is the clock speed of your processor. It is very important. The higher the clock speed, the better the performance of your laptop or your desktop. Now mine is running at 3.30 gigahertz as the base clock speed. Mind you, this clock speed is not the turbo speed. I mean, that's not the maximum speed it can run on. So most times, all of the time, you only have the base clock speed being shown to you, not the turbo speed or the max clock speed. Now it runs on the max clock speed only when you are running heavy applications. That's when it can exceed this particular clock speed. Now for my processor, my base clock speed is 3.0 when it's running normal applications, but maybe when I'm gaming or I'm running something heavy, a heavy task, it's going to turbo. It's going to increase its clock speed to about 3.6. And my processor has 8 cores and 16 threads. We call it hyper threading. You understand? Those are other terminologies you have to know if you are in the tech niche. So I'm having 16 gigs of RAM. So if what you ordered for was like 8 gig, this is where you check if you're having the correct amount of RAM and the kind of processor. If you ordered for an AMD processor, for instance, or you want to buy an AMD processor laptop, for instance, and you come here and you see Intel, that's automatically that's the wrong processor that you're opting for. I don't mean the processor is bad, I just mean that's not what you want. So on this window, that's all you need to check on this particular window. Now for the system type, you have 64-bit operating system. So older laptops and desktop makes use of 32, they operate on 32-bit operating system, but recently almost all the system runs on 64-bit. So you don't need to worry yourself about the 64-bit or whether 64 or 32-bit operating system, because most of the laptops and desktop nowadays runs on 64-bit operating system. So that's for the processor and for the RAM, to check it here. Now another way to check for the kind of processor and RAM you're having is you press the window key plus letter R on your keyboard. It's going to show you this run dialog box. You type DXDIAG and you press enter or you press OK. Then you wait. You can say yes or no here. Now this is going to show you the BIOS version you're on, the processor type. Like I said, I'm running on an Intel Xeon CPU. It's going to show you the family and the clock speed, the amount of RAM is also the same thing as your memory. So it's going to show you, it's showing us in megabytes. So approximately 16,000 plus megabyte equals 16 gig of RAM, because 1,000 megabyte is a gigabyte. So if you come to the display tab here, we are under the system tab initially. If you come to the display tab over here, this is where it's going to show you the information about your graphics card or your GPU. So I'm running on an AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT. So if you're running on integrated graphics, for instance, you have something like Intel HD blah blah blah, you understand. Now it's going to show me, I'm going to check my dedicated memory. I'm having 8 gigabyte of dedicated memory. It's also known as your display memory, you understand. It's different from your total memory, because here you can see I'm having approximately total memory is 16 gigabytes, but my usable dedicated memory for running heavy graphics applications and gaming is 8 gigabytes. So these are the ways you can check your processor, your RAM, and your GPU if it has a dedicated GPU. Now mind you, most laptops that are not high performance laptops, they don't have dedicated memories. They run on integrated video memory or graphics memory, as the case may be. So to check if your laptop has a dedicated memory or graphics memory, there are two ways. The first way is when you open the laptop. If it's a new laptop, most of the laptops, they have the logos of the brand of the GPU pasted on them. So you can check, you find that of the processor, you find the logo of the processor mostly on the right side of, below the keyboard, on the right side of the laptop. When you open it, you find the logo of the processor and the GPU, the graphics card that you're using, or that the laptop contains, or the desktop. So you find the logo side by side. Do you get? So in case you don't find any logo, maybe you're buying a used laptop, the sticker must have faded and removed. So you might not find any logo sticker pasted on the laptop any longer. So the only way for you to check is obviously to turn on the laptop and go through these procedures that I've showed you. So to check if you're having integrated or a dedicated memory, when you right click on your desktop environment like this, there are two things you find. If you're running on an integrated memory, you will also find, if it's an Intel for instance or AMD, you find something like AMD or Intel. For Intel, most times you see something like graphics settings or graphics display settings, you understand, when you right click. But for me, I'm running an AMD GPU, so I'm having AMD software here. This will take me to the graphics control center. So another way to check for your graphics properties is when you right click, you go to display settings, then you scroll down. It doesn't matter if you're on Windows 10 or 11, the procedure is the same. So you come to this option where you have advanced display settings, you click on it. Now this is going to show you, it's going to bring you here. You click on the display adapter properties for display 1. Now when you click this, it's going to show me the chip type, showing you the chip type, which is AMD Radeon graphics processor. Now it's going to show you the total graphics memory, like I said earlier, and it's going to show you the dedicated video memory, which is 8 gigabytes. Now if you're running on integrated, it's going to show you the same way like this, but most times what you have here is the integrated graphics. What I mean by integrated graphics for the beginners is the graphics the display graphics is embedded with the processor. Do you get? It's not separated. That's why it's the one that is separated is called a discrete or dedicated graphics unit or graphics card. So if you're running on an integrated graphics, or even if the laptop has integrated graphics, you're going to have it's going to display only the integrated graphics here. It's going to display only the integrated graphics here. It must have two graphics units. So for you to check, you press your Windows button on your keyboard, then you type device manager. Let me expand this. So when you type this device manager, it will bring you to this window. Now you look for this option that says what, display adapters. Then you double click on it. Now because I'm on a desktop system, I'm having just one graphics card on it. That's why I'm having the AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT, just one graphics card. Do you get? If your laptop or your desktop has a dedicated graphics card, it's going to show here. Then if your laptop has an integrated processor as well, an integrated graphics processor as well, it's going to show here. So that means you'll be having two options here. Let me get this clear. If your laptop is an Intel processor, for instance, and you have another sticker, beside it that shows AMD graphics, AMD Radeon graphics, or shows NVIDIA graphics, that means when you check here on these display adapters, you see something like Intel HD graphics, blah blah blah, like the model. Then you have another option, maybe AMD HD graphics, you understand, AMD Radeon blah 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 RX blah blah blah, or you have NVIDIA. What I'm saying is you have two. The first one will be the integrated graphics, while the second one will be the dedicated graphics. This is this is common to laptops with dedicated graphics. You find two here, because even that means they can work without the dedicated graphics. But for desktop, if the processor does not have integrated GPU on it, that means you rely on a dedicated graphics card for it to display, for it to run. So that's what I mean basically. So those are the ways you can check for your processor, for your RAM, your graphics card. Now for the storage, if you opt in for, let's say, 512 gigabyte of storage, or a 1 terabyte, the simple way for you to just know is you click on this document icon below, you get. Or another shortcut to use is, let me close this, is to use Windows plus E on your keyboard. You press your Windows button plus letter E on your keyboard, it's going to bring you here. Now as you can see, it's showing me my local disk. Just by hovering my mouse on the local disk, is showing me the space I have free. I'm having about 111 gigabytes free, and the total size is 576. Now the actual size of this storage is 512, but due to the system usage and memories is not always complete. You understand? The operating system is going to take its own part of the space and some other system files that are required to run the system, so it's not always complete. So what I mean is, if you opt in for a 512 gigabytes, you can't expect to meet exactly that 512 gigabytes on it, because the operating system and the system files and all that would have taken their own space. So what you have left is 400 and something. So likewise, if you opt in for a terabyte storage, you have 900 and something gigabytes. Do you get? So that's how it is. So that's how you check for your processor, your RAM, your graphics card, your storage. That's how you check for it. So in other videos, I'll be diving deep, to make you understand when it comes to processor, the generations of the processor you are to get, you understand, according to your budget as well, the kind of RAM speed that is okay depending on what you're trying to use that laptop or desktop for. Then when it comes to the storage, if you're to go for the hard drive, the typical HDD or the SSD, the speed of this storage, when it comes to your graphics card, the best graphics card for your budget, whether if you're on a laptop or you're on a desktop. So I will dive deep and make us understand basic things, to look out for when you're trying to get a laptop or a desktop to suit your needs, at least so that you can get the value for your money in whatever you need it for. So if there are things I forgot to mention, please mention them in the comments section for every other person, to have an idea of what we are trying to talk about, because my channel is to bring about, to enlighten and make people aware of their gadgets, especially when it comes to PCs, you understand, when it comes to laptops and other tech devices. So they should understand the basic things they need to know before getting them, so as to get the best value for their money. So if you have contributions, please put them in the comment section. I would like to learn as well. So let's share ideas. Let people who are in need who are in need of this information, so that they can, you know gain something from it. So please like, share, subscribe to my channel to support me.